blank. Either they would have forgotten of what had been taught to them. And at times they have to go back to their notes, which is in a way a good thing that at least they try to make notes and go back to it. So it's very important that how students should be able to retain the information that is being given to them, and then they should be able to reproduce it. They could paraphrase it, they could summarize it, but the student should be able to reproduce what has been taught to them in their previous classes. And for all of these things, I think motivation is the biggest factor. In our previous session, we already talked about positive motivation, negative motivation, so I will not go into the detail for it, but I would just like to share a few tips with you and a few techniques with you that I usually use in my classrooms and how it helps my students to remain engaged. So in the context of social learning theory, when we have so much things to tell them, we are talking about attention, retention, reproduction, motivation. How is it possible that when every person coming with different needs is sitting in a classroom setup, we can take care of all those things? And over here, we have our universal design of learning, which helps us to overcome these challenges. Again, this is a little bit more about how we can observe, internalize, imitate, and give a feedback. I will not be reading this because we already talked about it. I would want that we straight away jump to universal design of learning, and then we can see how it helps us to demonstrate the knowledge, the learning to our students. The universal design of learning is basically a set of principles which tells us that learning environments should be accessible and effective at the same time for all of you. At the moment, I'm presuming that for some of you, particularly who are the ones who have joined us recently, these things might be a little lot of information in terms of relevance, but let's experiment and see and do some activities and see that how we can ensure that the expression, representation, and then engagement is possible for the entire class. The universal design of learning talks about three things. The first thing is multiple means of engagement. That is the why of learning. So whenever we are assigning any assignment or any learning activity or assessment to the students, it's really, really important you tell them that what is the need? Why are they learning that particular thing? Second thing that is a little bit of my favorite as well is that you should be able to offer multiple means of representation to your students. It can vary, it can differ definitely because discipline-wise, there are different uh, things that are happening. But I think now with the advancement of technology and AI, a lot of things have become quite easier, not just for our students, but for us instructors as well. And then the third thing that we need to know is multiple means of action and expression. That is the how of learning, that how they can do this. Now I'm going to share a personal example that how I try to ensure that my students are having this access of multiple means of representation in their learning activities, and then the same could be applied for their assessments as well. So this is an example from my phonetics and phonology class. So I'll just be talking about a very brief concept that is about voiced and voiceless sounds. So if you could see over here at the very right side, I have my lecture notes. I'll just use my cursor so you can know what I'm talking about. So one way is that I usually prepare my lecture slides. I share them with them on Moodle, and usually they're expected to read it or we do the reading in the class. The second thing that I like to do is I like to use a lot of images. I myself am a visual learner, and when I see something, I think it's more easy for me to retain and remember that information instead of just reading to a plain text. Another thing that I also like to do is make use of animated short YouTube videos. If you could see in this video caption, which talks about that how does the human body produce voice and speech. So you get a more sort of a 3D image in which a student is better able to understand, okay, so what is the placement of tongue, where is the velum, where is the jaw, what are the lips. And I also try to give them some additional reading on that, which is just usually a 1-page or a 2-page handout, and it is not very, very extensive. So let's see if we are able to grasp this much information and see that how a practice activity can work for us. If somebody has been able to read the slides, so basically the voice sounds are those sounds in which there is vibration. Okay, I'll just demonstrate how we can do that. So one way could be explaining to my students, okay, voice sounds are those in which when you produce them, there is vibration in your vocal folds, and then the voiceless are those in which there's no vibration. This is one way. But now if I could ask, I have 47 people with me. And I would particularly pick up people whose name are either with S or with Z. I have Suhaib, I have Zara, and with S, I have Sylvia, and I have, okay, now the name of the department is, okay, I have Samya, I have Saman. So for the ones I can, okay, let me see if I can see the videos as well. Could you please all place your hands just below your throat like this, just like this. I can see Umaid. So if Umaid will be doing that, I'll presume everybody is doing that because at the moment I can just see him. Can you all place your hands just below your throat? Yeah, wonderful. Good. So can you all say summon? Summon. Can you observe what's happening here? And then I had two people with the name or with Z. Okay. Can you say summon and Zara? Summon and Zara. Do you observe the difference in the vibration? So when you're saying summon, there is a mild vibration, but when you say Zara, there is a stronger vibration. So were you able to identify this difference? Okay, one person says yes. You can give a reaction by either clicking on yes or no. And similarly, there will be certain other sounds as well. I just gave a very basic example that the sounds with sa would have lesser vibration. They are voiceless sounds, and the ones with like z, which have more vibration, those are voice sounds. So when I do this practice activity in the class, those students who are social learners, they are able to remember that. I'm presuming that by the time the session ends, most of you would be able to understand and explain that what is a voice sound and what is a voiceless sound, and at least you know one example. And then you can ask the students to make up many more. Then I tell them, okay, give me different words with sa, give me different words with sa. You can also ask them to place it differently. Okay, give me a word which starts with sa, and then give me another word in which s is at the end. And a very good example is that I usually tell my students is that if you're talking about the sound C, the letter alphabet C and sa sound, so Pacific Ocean. So how it transforms from sa, ka, sha, Pacific Ocean. So adding a lot of examples is a good way of engagement. Giving them multiple means of representations is a very good example. And this just helps them to remember, if not all, at least a bit of what you have taught in the lesson. Another example that I would also want to talk about is that considering all the responsibilities we have, considering all the workload we have, at times it's not possible to be so innovative. It's not possible to bring a lot of things into your plate. So another thing that that I have recently started doing is that I have started taking help of AI. For the ones who have already done that course, by the Auburn University, you would have definitely learned that we can use different AI tools as learning platforms, as learning tools. And that does not mean definitely that we become entirely dependent on them. That means that the machines think with us and not for us. So an effective means of developing a prompt, which I learned, and I really tell my students as well, that if you are exploring, if you're researching, if you're brainstorming, this is the best way in which you can develop a prompt and in which you can use that, make sure that you're getting good ideas, you're getting relevant ideas, and then further on, you can go to the other platforms and research on them. So it's really important. The first thing is persona, that you identify your role. Excuse me. Second thing is you state your objective. The third thing is you need to know who are your recipients, your audience, what kind of style, tone, or any related parameter you would like to add, and then what's the particular structure that you would want to do. So another example that I would like to share with you is that after using AI or with the help of AI, this is a template in which I asked the AI to, with the persona format that I am a university linguistics educator, design an engaging classroom activity for undergrad students. So you see it tells the persona, my role as an instructor. It tells about my audience, what particular aim is that I want. It says create a collaborative digital timeline for languages around the world, and the activity should incorporate storytelling and technology in the time allotment. So I'll just share a result with you that this is how I was given the response by ChatGPT. There are different AI tools. ChatGPT, most commonly Gemini, again, the one. And you can see that how it gives me not merely just the outline, it also explains that what materials can be used or what materials are needed and how we can make use of that. I just remembered Sir Adil Khali from the English department has done a wonderful project on languages because he's working on digital humanities. So we can even refer to works or research by each other, and we can just make use of them as well. It tells you about the duration. Then it gives you, excuse me, an introduction and objective and the instructions as well that how you should be doing that. I know that uh, discipline-wise or domain-wise, it may vary, but the most effective thing is that how creative you are with your prompt would help you to engage your students in a much better way, considering the access that they have equal access to the content that is being produced and including them at the same time, so none of the students is left out. So one suggestion was that I could ask them to talk about language evolution. Another such suggestion was that it could be a group research in which they can story tell. They can focus probably on the language spread through trade routes, colonization, cultural exchange. Another thing could be that they can add a day brief description, a visual element. And it's always good when we are talking and exploring about the languages in different way that students come up with different perspectives. I often ask them, how many language do you speak? What develops your interest in languages? If there's any language that they think they would want to learn, what could be the general rules for that and different things. So it's entirely upon you that how would you come up with any creative idea, and then you further expand it further. And then you can make use of different tools. You could research. The good thing is that if you have sufficient time, researching on your own is very wonderful. But if you are short of time and if you want to make use of any AI tool, that should not be a problem as well. And you can take good ideas and suggestions from there. And the last thing could be that you can ask them either warm-up questions. How does understanding help us understand linguistic diversity? How do particularly languages evolve? Do you think there are any dying languages in Pakistan? Showing up any video, showing up any documentary, sharing any content or any such material is again a very effective way in which students can be engaged, and we are able to follow the UDL framework at the same time in which we are able to share multiple perspectives over here. Again, this is a different example. Please excuse me. I have been under the weather. I think my throat is still not well. In which we were talking about different discussion topic. I would like to credit this idea to Ms. Nadia Takar, again from the English department. We were having a discussion, and I really enjoyed because we are able to come up with a lot of new ideas, and we are able to share these ideas. And then you can always improvise. So I was having a discussion with her, and I wanted to suggest different topics to my students in which they could come up and talk about any topic, pick it up, talk about any argument. So one way is just sending them a list and telling them, okay, here is a list of topics. You can pick and choose and decide what do you want to talk about. But I wanted, again, for student engagement perspective. So what I did, I got their printouts. I have cut all the topics into small chits. And this is going to be like a lucky draw for students. They'll come pick up a chit from the bowl. They will be formulated probably in groups. And then each group would be assigned a topic, and then they'll decide how it's going to be. So the reason for sharing is this, that at times we'll have to be a little bit creative, a little bit more engaging with them in order to ensure that they develop interest in whatever activity is being taught, and they have a proper understanding of how things are supposed to be. So these two are my personal examples because I teach both of the courses. And now just to see and practice that how well you have been able to comprehend this idea, we would request you, okay, we are 53 people now. Sir Gohar, would it be possible for us to go into breakout rooms?
Yes, I'll create 5. I can create 6 as well. How many do you want?
Okay, I think we are 53 people, so maybe we can have larger groups, probably 8 people in each group. So now we would request you to retain the information that we have heard in this entire session till now, and how much information you have been able to remember and how you're going to reproduce it now. I know there are people from different disciplines, so it might not be possible to practice it for each group, but you can come up with any one group. And I would suggest that if you could experiment a little bit with AI as well, you can make use of either ChatGPT, you can make use of Gemini or any other tool which you are already using in your discipline, because when you share the perspective, it will be a new learning for us as well. So it's not just that you're learning from this session, I would be also able to learn a lot of new things from you. So you are supposed to create a prompt according to your program, which talks about different student engagement strategies. But we need to keep in mind that we have to include all the students with different needs and different learning styles, and they should have equal access to the content that is being shared with them in the class. We will share the link of the Padlet with you in the group. And I think we should give them at least 10 minutes for this activity, because now we have a lot of audience and they might need some time to discuss with each other. So the link of this Padlet is already in the chat. You can go to it and then you can, do you want me to paste this activity as well in the chat? Can I get a yes or a no?
I've shared the link in the chat.
The activity, what they're supposed to do. Or else they'll come back like students and say, कि Miss ने क्या कहा था, करना क्या था?
I'm going to
After
do
the
that.
entire discussion. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Done.
So you have this activity, you have this Padlet link, and you have exact 10 minutes. It's 1:32 with me. I hope you'll come back at 1:42. And when we go to the Padlet, there would be more comments in that. Again, if somebody is not able to go into a breakout room or in like to the link, they can write it in the chat and definitely we will read out. And if you want, I'll just quickly give a short recap that when you are designing a prompt, this is a general format that you should follow for an effective result. State your persona. What is your role? What do you want to do? Who is your audience? Do you have any particular theme in mind? Or is there any particular structure that is required? So you can follow this format and then you can proceed and get back to us and share. Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Sara. It's okay, you can just write it in the Zoom chat box if you have something to share in this regard. Other than using AI as well, I'm sure you all are brilliant minds and you have been sharing a lot of information and practices. Thank you so much for this, Gover. So
I'm
you can,
creating the groups now.
sure.
3, 2, and 1.
Yeah, please join your breakout room. Thank you.
So what is to be done in this concern? Let me check it out. Let's see. Over here.
Hello, sir. Can you see me?
Yeah, Gohar, there is an issue.
Yes.
Actually, if I want to share some kind of prompt, okay, through chat, but it's quite long. So, what is the possible solution? Can I share my screen as well?
Not right now, but maybe later when we start with Miss Naomi. So you can both identify what you want to present and maybe,
So sir, you can actually just share
Yeah,
with me
it's working.
verbally,
Yes.
and then we can paste it over there.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Is it all good? You know the drill, right?
Okay,
I'm quite
Okay,
I've
okay.
shared a prompt, right? So,
So
this
we
is
need to
related to
share
my.
this prompt to the Padlet,
you,
right?
yeah, to the Padlet,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, okay, but right. Sorry, let me just look at this.
So it's
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
If there is anything you need help with, please let me know. Sir Nazif, can you hear me?
JJB, uh, yes, I have a prompt ready.
Okay,
So should I
that's
share it in chat or
you can discuss it with the group members, with the breakout room group members, with Miss Zara, with Miss Rimsha and Miss Korla, and Sir Nasir and Dr. Kamran, and then eventually you can share it later when we come back to the main session at 1:42.
okay.
Ms. Naomi, we are in the main session now.
It seemed like eternity that I was in the breakout room. All right, so let's just go quickly to our Padlet and see what comments people have added over there. There were a few people who like suggested using AI, and then there were the ones who had already been using AI in their classrooms, and then they were just proposing and suggesting what strategies or modes do they adapt. So Nasser really says, I do explain the core aspects of a topic and show a video to the students related. Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah, because there are people who are reading something, and then there are people who are visual learners. So when you watch something which is already being told to you, I think it just reinforces what you are teaching to the students. So that is a very good strategy. If you're able to find some good video or content, that could be one thing. Okay, okay, people are adding comment. Okay, something that's very, very interesting. Sir Umaid has posted is the party mixer, understanding drug interactions. Okay, this is wonderful. Okay, I learned the new social analogy. So probably when I'll be sharing these topics, I might call it a party mixer as well. Okay, economics में Nazif says के okay, Nazif, if I'm not wrong, are you asking the other people to suggest you a theory? It says, um, students, okay, please suggest a class activity. If I'm not wrong, this is what you're asking, Nazif. If anybody could comment and suggest him something in regard to this topic, it would be great help. He wants the ideas of savings, surplus investment. I think in the current economic situation, Nazif, I also want to talk about the idea of saving surplus, a lot of investment and things like this. So if somebody has any information and they could propose something or comment, that would be really amazing. Then we have the mechanism of soft formation. Okay, this is so interesting. I really want to read all of the comments, but I think it might not be possible to read all of them. Certain people are still typing. So I'll just keep it very limited considering the time constraint as well. I also understand it's a lunch break. Some of the people might be hungry. And then there are different reasons. Ms. Hina Abid has added. Okay, that's interesting. So they're talking about soap formation, and then there can be different materials here. So you can see that there are different strategies one can adapt. I'll just go back to my slide and we'll just wrap it up. That you can either choose when obviously there was a time when people used to say that hard work is the key to success. Yes, no doubt it is. But I think that with the passage of time, it's also important that we choose to use our time smartly as well. So there are different ways for student engagement in the same way. You can either plan and adapt different activities, or you can make use of AI and get different ideas. Dr. Hira's added group competition on challenging topics like hemoglobin, pathies in biochemistry. Okay, yeah. That would be competitive as well. That would be informative as well. And if it has something with regard to rewards and points or additional marks, the students are always very active. Okay, I was just sharing my prompt. I'm looking at the ideas. Okay, thank you for that, Nazif. But if you do find something with regard to investments, do share them with me as well. Okay, so to wrap it up, then again, there can be different strategies that you can use. You can break down a lot of information into chunks. It's a very effective technique. Repetition and rehearsal. You can use different mnemonic devices and visual aids and active learning. And I was just telling one of my sections just 2 days ago that when I was in my school, I had to memorize for an Urdu short story, the name of the author, and I was not really able to do that. I don't know how many of you have read that short story with the title of Machar. And then there was a guy in my class whose name was Hassan. And because the name of the author was Hassan, I just had to make up this mnemonic. Due apologies to Hassan wherever he is. Ki Hassan looks like a machar. And till this day, after I think approximately, I would say 15-20 saal okay, but I can still, anybody say machar, Hassan Nizami. So it was such a strong mnemonic for me to remember. And this is what I tell my students when I'm talking about writing and communication. So when we talk about the components and we talk about the acronym, I tell them कि PTA से आप याद रखें कि Pakistan Telecom Authority है, and when you're writing something, there should be purpose, your tone, and audience. So purpose is always primary. So adding different mnemonics, adding different acronyms is very, very helpful. So as you can see for yourself, that it can vary. Again, as I said, it's not, although yes, universal design of learning talks about multiple means of representation, expression, and engagement, but you yourself will have to decide and choose that which strategy is working best for you. There is also a possibility that the same strategy might not work for another class. It might vary with a different class because we have students from different like they all have different learning needs. And again, we need to make sure that we are including all of them and they all have equal access to what content is being taught to them. So going to the recap, I would want to ask that would anybody quickly tell me what is a voiced and a voiceless sound? If you still are able to remember that what was a voiced and what was a voiceless sound. You can either write it in the chat. You can, I think you might not have an option to speak up.
They can raise their hand and I'll unmute them.
Okay, so what do you people remember? What's a voice sound and what's a voiceless sound? I can see people are raising their hands. Maybe it's just because of the control. Oh, that would be taking a while for them to recall if they were present at that time in the session. Nobody remembers what's a voiced and voiceless sound. My students were not engaged in the session or probably not actively engaged. Either they can raise hands or you can write it in the chat. Okay, finally, I have hope in life. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Amit. It's related to vocal cords. Very good. Yeah, might be missing from the seat. Yeah, I think so because in our breakout room, certain people were present, which I say to my students as well. You were here physically, but you are not here mentally. So that's also a challenge when we talk about engagement. So thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, very good. Two people can recall that. The response is yes, vibration and without vibration. Very good. So it's basically related to the vibration that is produced, and the words with vibration are voiced and the words without vibration are voiceless. Another one thing that I would like to ask that can anybody, okay, good. Now everyone remembers. Do you remember what sounds did I give you? Bat and pat. Okay, there's bat, pat. Okay, those are, oh, because you are not from the domain, I would say, okay, very good. I think I wish if I had a additional credit or a gift, I would like I would say I would grade or made the highest on that. So yeah, very good. The sounds of sa and sa, very good. Yeah, so yeah, you can experiment and explore. Naseem gave us the example of bat and pat. Again, that's a different kind of a manner and place of articulation. So if you, and why you were able to remember this, because we did a small hands-on practice or an activity which made you remember this, although most of you are not from the linguistics domain, but still you have been able to remember that because we had different representations. We did a social activity, like a group activity together in the session. And that is why I think you will be always able to remember this basic concept about voiced and voiceless sounds. And these are the references that I have taken help from. I'm sure the slides would be shared with you later on, and you would be able to go through the content again. And a very quick recap once again for the ones probably who were late or maybe who are not able to join, is that today we try to look at different ways in which we can engage our students, and keeping the universal design of learning in mind. So you can be innovative, you can be creative, and then you can choose and decide for yourself as well, according to the time duration you have, that how would you want to represent something, how would you like to express something. And all these modes would help all of the learners coming from different backgrounds to be equally engaged, equally included, and have access to all the information and have equal opportunity as well. So that will be all from my side today. Thank you for being amazing learners, I would say.
Thank you so much, Ms. Naomi. And I would request the participants to please respond to the polling.
Sure. I think it was a very good session by Naomi. but I was a bit perturbed because I did not see many responses on the screen as expected for many things. Also, I think in the breakout rooms, very few people realized they were supposed to move to the breakout rooms. And that can only mean one thing, that most of our faculty just connect and then move away. So perhaps we'll have to reconsider our way of allocating CPDRs instead of just joining in. We will have to discuss it with the VR and move along on some different requirements. Nevertheless, thank you so much. Naomi, thanks again. You added a lot of new stuff and you put in AI as a talk, as a need of the times. Thank you, all those who were there. I can see Rizwan, Umaid Hayat, Afia Naveed, Nazif Ishtiyaq, Kashif Shafiq, Nadia Iftikhar, those of you, Nasir Ali, Amreen Khurshid, some of you were, Fahad, were there and active in the work. And Nira Khalid, for a short time, I saw her. And so thank you so much. Bye-bye.